Hello. Okay. So, good evening to everybody. We are going to start.
Good evening, teacher.
We are going to start our class about theoretical linguistics. Today we have the assignment of the presentations about the examples in order to reinforce what we have we have worked during the weeks. Uh, so let's start right away. Okay. So who wants to start with the presentation?
I will
Anyone
group
here?
teacher.
Sorry.
Tanya, Manuel, and Stephanie.
Okay, right. Tanya, Emmanuel, and Stephanie.
Yes,
Right.
teacher.
Do you have the presentation or do you want me to project it?
I have the presentation, teacher.
Okay, so Angie, please share the screen.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Wait, teacher. Okay. Okay. We're going to start reference, sense, and truth. The group is conformed by Tanya, Emanuela, and me, Angie. Okay. So reference is the definition of the meaning of the meaning relation between words and objects in the real world. For example, this is the semantic triangle. In this picture, you can see the dog is the reference, the thing. The word dog, D-O-G, is the, when I said dog, you know that is an animal, is the symbol, the word symbol, and the reference is the thought that we have about the animal. For example, that the dog is friendly. I don't know. In this triangle, we can see better than before. The semantic triangle in this picture, you can see, for example, the cat, that is this physical object. If I said cat, this is the symbol, the word CAT is the symbol that symbolizes in our brains the concept of the physical object that is a cat. Yes. We have two types of reference, variable reference and constant reference. For example, one example of variable reference is orange, because we can refer to a different type of that object. For example, orange, it could be a fruit or a color. And a constant reference refer to the same thing. In this example, the moon. If I said moon, you know that is an astronomical body that orbits around our planet. For example, these are some examples. For example, my husband is at home. I'm referring to my husband, to a specific person, no other person or other. Yes, other person is a specific word that refers to my husband, and is at home. In this case, home is also the referent, because I'm talking about a specific place in the real world. Students, for example, students from that university are so smart. In this case, students are a referent, and university is also a referent, because I'm talking about a specific group of people that are the students, and a specific place that is a university. In this case, I'm talking about the moon. See, if I said moon, you know what is the moon. For example, the moon was bright last night. Last night, some years ago, I saw an eclipse of the moon, and that look at the moon. If I say that word in your mind, you know that for example, the moon is yes an astronomical uh, body. I think that is all about reference. And Tanya is going to talk about sense.
Okay. Sense is defined like one of the meaning of a word. We know that some words have multiple meanings, and another ones have only one meaning. Um, in this part of the presentation, we have a definition about. No, Stephanie, the first one, please. Thank you. A definition of Wittgenstein and said a word sense is how the word related to other words in a language. The next one, please. Thank you. Well, we have an example about the word play. The first one is we went to see the play Romeo and Juliet at the theater. The second one is the coach devised a great play that put the visiting team on the defensive. And the third one is the children went out to play in the park. Okay, some characteristics of sense are that sense of a word are related to each other within a semantic field. Um, and the second one is that a common pattern is that one sense is broader and another narrower. It depends the context. One of the most of the time this happens especially with the use of technical jargon. For example, for the general public, the word orthography it's in as spelling, but at the linguistic level, the word orthography includes spacing, word separation, punctuation, and spelling too. Well, we have here another example um, about sense. Um, Thank you. A prisoner escaped from the jail yesterday. A prisoner ran away from the jail yesterday, and a prisoner go free from the jail yesterday. The verb is different, but the context is the same in that case. Okay. Now I'm going to explain you two types of sense. The first one is the primary sense, and is generally the first meaning that comes to the mind of for most people when Alexim is alone. Um, Usually, it refers to an actual physical thing, or an action, or a characteristic of a reference. Uh, Next, please. Okay. We have here another example about the word jungle. Jungle has a primary sense that means land cover with dense growth of trees, tall vegetation, and vines, typical in tropical regions and inhabited by predatory animals. This is the meaning of jungle that generally first comes to a person's mind and refers to an actual physical thing. Okay. The second type of sense is the figurative sense. Um, well, figurative sense is a meaning that is divided from primary sense by analogy. An analogy is an comparison between one thing and another. and the purpose is explain and clarify the sense of the sentence. Well, it is related to the primary sense uh, because the figurative sense brings to the mind of the people an image of the primary sense. Therefore, the interpretation of the figurative sense could become incorrect since the figurative sense can have a few relationships and limited context of uses. For example, uh, you are as unknowing as nails on a clapboard. Okay, it is an example about the same word, the word jungle. Um, well, jungle can mean any place with an exaggerated growth of trees and vegetation, as seen in the example. In this case, it's a figurative sense of the word jungle, because the example is I need to take care with the jungle in my backyard. It is an analogy. Okay. The second example is you can find it if you dig through the jungle in my closet. It can also be seen in a more abstract way that can mean anything that can be difficult to organize. Okay, it is another example. Life can be a jungle sometimes. It is the same, it is an analogy. And that's it.
You finish?
Not
Not
teacher.
teacher.
John Emmanuel is about to screen to share the screen.
So now about truth conditional. Truth is the condition under which a sentence is a true. True condition of a sentence do not necessarily reflect current reality. There are merely the conditions under which the statement would be true. For example, the aircraft is new and it has 2 second-hand engines. In this proposition, there are 2 sentences. The aircraft is new and it has 2 second engines. Talking about true value in the proposition, it is false because if the aircraft is new, it cannot have 2 second engines. The true value requires the sentence must be true. In this case, the aircraft is new and it has 2 new engines. Talking about entailment is defined as any true inference from a true proposition. So if a sentence is true, it may entail with other sentences to make the proposition true. So here's an example. Ian assassinated Hernan. It is one proposition. Another is Hernan died. In this case, if Ian assassinated Hernan is true, then it entails to Hernan died. And if it's true too, entailment is a logical relationship between 2 propositions such that the true of the first one guarantees the true of the second one. Talking about entailment, we have 3 semantic propositions. Paraphrase can be defined as a mutual entailment relation between 2 propositions. An example of this is active-passive voice. Ian assassinated Hernan entails Hernan was assassinated by Ian, and Hernan was assassinated by Ian entails Ian assassinated Hernan. Paraphrase can be seen as a sentence synonym. Now, contradiction, in this case, contradiction can be seen as a sentence antinomy. The relationship of contradictions holds if one proposition asserts the opposite of the other one. For example, Ian assassinated Hernan contradicts Ian did not assassinate Hernan. And the third one is inclusion. Inclusion is related to hyponymy. It's defined as unidirectional entailment if the first one proposition entails the second one, then the second one does not entail the first one. For example, Ian assassinated Hernan includes Ian killed Hernan, but not vice versa. And that's it.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Emmanuel, Tanya, Angie, you gave us some examples about the three aspects, reference, sense, and truth. So those are very valuable. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Teacher, can we continue?
Teacher,
Sarah Hyman
Rafaela,
Rafael.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, teacher, for you.
Thank
Then,
Because
I'm going to share the screen. Can you see?
yep.
Okay.
Okay, I am going to start with the presentation. Please, Sarah, the first slide.
Okay.
I am going to explain about reference, but before a little introduction. Semantics is the study of meaning in language and is divided into word semantics, sentence semantics, and utteral semantics. Word semantics explains the phenomenon of meaning in language by means of defining the nature of word meaning. And word semantics is divided into reference and sense. The next slide, Sarah. Okay. Reference is the relation between language and reality, between words and objects. By means of reference, a speaker indicates which things in the world, including people, are being talking about. The triangle of reference. The triangle of reference is a model for explaining how words convey meaning. It says that a word suggests an idea in the mind of the listener. The idea connects to a real or abstract word object. Okay. The next, Sarah, please.
Okay.
Same reference. Two or more expressions might refer to the same referent. For example, the morning star and the evening star refer to the planet Venus. And my aunt and my mother's sister refer Sarah, supposing that she named Sarah. And the coldest continent and the southernmost continent and the continent where the South Pole is located refers to Antarctica. Next, please. The same expression, depending on the time or place, could have more than one reference. For example, the president of the USA in 1993, he was Clinton. The president of the USA in 2009, he was Obama. And the current president is Trump. Next, please. Definite reference is the ability to study beings or objects through linguistic expressions. For example, if I said, "I met the doctor of the hospital," the speaker and the listener recognize the referent without needing to know the complete information about it by means of the noun phrasal, the doctor and the hospital. They both internally choose it and accept it. The moon and my aunt are, okay. Indefinite reference. In this case, the referent is known by the characteristic of the class to which it belongs, but is not necessarily identified by the speaker or by the listener. For example, I met a doctor of the hospital. Could be any doctor. The same happens in a doctor, an English poet, a page, an European, a tree, an actress. Next, please. Generic reference. In English grammar, generic reference is used when you make a reference to all the members of a class of people or things. For example, apples are a delicious source of vitamin C. An apple is a delicious source of vitamin C. The apple is a delicious source of vitamin C. Each of the sentences say that vitamin C is one of the nutrients of the apple. This is a general characteristic of the members of the class of apples. Collective reading. It happens when the sentences make statements about whole class of the reference. For example, the apple is delicious. And distributive reading. It happens when the sentences make a statement about each members of a particular class. For example, an apple is delicious. An apple had seeds. Next, please. However, there are words that have no reference in the real world, but in the abstract world. For example, beauty, passion, faith, and other esteemed, and other esteems. For example, dinosaurs, sorry. There are also words that cannot have any kind of reference. For example, so, very, maybe, of, etc. Next, please. Context. The drawback of statements was solved by the modern semantics by means of the semantic triangle, a triangle that was previously explained. Through the semantic triangle, you can directly relate sounds and objects, which is called onomatopoeia. For example, water sounds, vocal semantics, collision sounds, air sounds, and animal sounds. Another way of referring words and objects is through the iconicity, in which, according to the image or physical characteristics of the object, a long or small vocal opening is obtained according to the object. For example, grand, goes, bore, and no. In the last example, the extra letter silent to the word, signifying that the word is stretched out when spoken. Signs refers to emotions, including angry, happy, and feel, are made on the chest, near to the heart. Next, please. Conceptual categories. The most relationship between being humans is through the concepts in the brain and its reference. The classical approach divides the concepts into mental categories: animal and man, in terms of a set of necessary and sufficient conditions for an entry in the world for a member of the category. For example, anime, human, mole, and adult. However, the classification of concept by means of necessary and sufficient conditions could not result for abstract entities such as love and objects such as house. A description of a category in terms of conditions implies that it does a sharing fixed boundary. But words such as word and call are fuzzy and change with the context. Sorry, okay. The approach cannot explain why some members of a category and better accepted the others. For example, we all agree that penguin would not be the best example of a bird. This is the next prototype. Prototype is a sophisticated category of a concept representation. This category assumes that the conceptual category have an integral structure composed of central members, less central members, and borderline cases. For example, in this category bird, it says to be characterized by the following by the following attributes: size and shape, has feature, has wings, can fly, categorize and semantics, dimensions. And the last, the dot. In the category dot, the Austrian the Austrian or German Shepherd is a genre and considered to be the prototype. Other representations like the Saint Bernard and the Pekingese are neither can be properly of the category. On the other hand, the reference again belong to the prototypical. Okay, this is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, going to continue with sense. Sense is the more interesting part, meaning sense refers to how we see an object or the amount of information given about an object. Some linguists are classified the number of sense relationships at the level of words, or to be more precise, the level of the seams. The most common view defines 3 or 4 relations. In this case, synonyms, antonyms, and hyponyms. And the other one is meronym, but it's not too common. So I'm going to start with synonym. Synonym means a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word or phrase in the same language. There are synonyms that differ slightly in what they mean. For example, as you can see on the screen, there are 2 examples with the 2 words in red color. They form a pair of synonyms. Both suggest a great wonder or bewilderment in the face of something that seems impossible or highly improbable, but they differ in degree of wonder or bewilderment. Amaze. Amaze denotes difficult or relief, and astonished extreme difficult or belief. For example, a teacher was amazed to find that a lazy student had gained a mark of 100 in an important test. A woman may be astonished to learn that her thirsty friend has been spreading malicious gossip about her. Now, I'm going to explain dialect, sorry. There are words with more or less the same meaning using different regional dialects. British English and American English are the two major geographical varieties of the English language. It is not difficult to find examples of saying the same thing, but using different words in two dialects. As you know, during our career, we have learned different words in different language. In this case, lift and elevator, luggage and baggage, lorry and truck, petrol and gasoline, flat apartment, with screen and with shield, torch and floodlight. Now, the term fall is used in the United States and in some Western countries of Britain, whereas autumn is more often used in England. In American English, sick is the word normally used in talking about the bad health. Now, I'm going to explain collocational. Some words are collocational restrict. They occur only in conjunction with other words or in the words they go together with. This is a matter of use. For example, when we want to say that someone has done something wrong or even criminal, we can use accuse, charge, or rebuke, but they are followed by different prepositions: accuse of, charge with, or rebuke for. Another example is the word we use to describe food. For example, rotten tomatoes, eggs rancid, and sour milk. Now, stylistic synonyms. Some words convey the same idea but differ in stylistic reference. These words are known as stylistic synonyms. These words having the same meaning may differ in style or degree of formality. In other words, some words tend to be more formal, others casual, and still others neutral in style. To die, to pass away, and to kick the bucket are relative synonyms. The word die is the simple word of this group and stylistically neutral. To pass away is a euphemistic word using in the formal context. The phrase to kick the bucket is a slang expression used on very informal occasion. Okay, now there are another examples. Snap and feast is according with the meal, and to be off and to have it and to depart is the word to leave. Now, emotive synonyms. For example, I'm going to explain with the first example, collaborator and accomplice. The two words collaborator and accomplice are synonyms, and they share the meaning of a person who helps others, but they differ in that a collaborator helps another in doing something good, while an accomplice helps other in a criminal act. For example, famous and notorious. Famous is something like Brad Pitt or an actor, but is a good actor, whilst notorious is a bad reputation. Ambiguous and equivocal is ambiguous is something like inconcrete, and equivocal is something not clear. Hate and love. Hate is according with the feelings, and love is object of situations. Misuse and abuse. Something in misuse is when you use something incorrectly, and abuse is when you treat badly or something like that. Obtain and procure. Obtain is informal and procure is formal. Now, antonyms. Gradual antonyms. These pairs are called
Sorry,
gradual antonyms.
Sarah,
Yes?
can I
Yes?
interrupt you a second?
Yes?
The thing is that you are taking too much time with the presentation. Okay? The idea was that you give us some examples. I know that you have done this work and it is very nice, but could you please be brief, just showing some examples, please?
Okay. Okay, in grammar, that's beautiful and agreed is the opposite. An expense sheet, fast and slow, code and call. In binary, they are predicates which come in pairs and between then exhaust all the irrelevant possibilities. For example, you can say if a sentence is true, it can be false. For example, north and south. If Colombia is in the south, it can be in the north. Or if someone is single, he or she can be married. In incompatible, is according with the first of the principal word, seasons. Summer, winter, fall, and spring, there are seasons, but each one is different. The same case pass with the states of matter. Every word belongs to the state of matter, but each one is different. And converse are pairs of the opposite where one cannot exist without the other. For example, to have a husband, you must have a wife. Or if you have if someone is stealing, there must be someone buying. Now, and madness, only you have to use a prefix. In this case, the sample is accurate, friendly, pure, and important. So if you add a prefix in the other words, you have another meaning difference, totally different. Okay? In economy, for example, pink, scarlet, orange, hot pink, and pumpkin form subclasses of the word red. They are referred to as eponymous or red. Similar path with, for example, if you can see living thing, plant, vegetables, and carrot. If you have another words like onions or lemons, that words are eponyms of vegetables. Meronymy, this something like belong on a general object. For example, fingers belong to a hand. The wheel is part of the automobile, and the branch is part of the tree. So you can say that fingers, wheels, and brains are meronyms of a general word. Rafael.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes or not?
Yes, sir. I can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Well, teacher, and partners, well, taking into account that this topic of truth well, in logical semantics is a bit extensive, well, and sometimes complex. So because of the truth tables and the logical relations and connectors, logical relation between sentences, entailment, equivalence, contradiction, independence, presupposition. So what I wanted to do in these examples basically was focus on the concept of true value in individual sentences, understanding that truth condition is related to the facts as a description of states and happenings in the world, which can be true or false. So in this view, we found how truth is implied in analytical sentences, parabolical sentences, and synthetic sentences. In analytical sentences are those which automatically express true propositions in any context by virtue of the meanings of their constituent words and their arrangement. For example, in this sentence, tiger is a feline, we know that it is true, not because in the word it is, but in the English language, it's like that. So we don't need to confirm this happening in the real world because it's true. Another example of analytical senses could be, for example, snow is white. We know that it is because in the real world it is, and in the English language, when we now analyze semantically, it is. Similarly, synthetic sentences are true statements because it is related with the facts in the real world. For example, the sun doesn't shine during the night. Or, for example, it is raining. So these kind of statements are related to the facts in the real world, and we can verify and check the truth condition of that. If in the case of the sun that doesn't shine during the night, we can see in the night that there is the moon and not the sun. And in the case of the sample is raining, when it's raining, we can verify that very truly is raining because it's happening in the real world. Well, in contrast with analytical sentences and synthetic sentences, there are paradoxical sentences or contradictory sentences. These kind of sentences are automatically express false propositions. For example, this sentence, I know one thing that I know nothing. This sentence is from Socrates, and well, we know that philosophically, this sentence makes a lot of sense, taking into account the meaning, the background, and reason why Socrates said that. But semantically, it's a paradoxical sentence or contradictory because of the meaning itself, and well, it is very controversial when we analyze that. Another example could be bachelors are married. These propositions is false, and if we analyze that, I think it's all. Thank you, teacher. Sorry for the long time.
Don't worry about that. But it was a little long. Okay, don't worry about that. So we are going to continue with the next group. I think that the next group is Ingrid, Paula, and Luis.
Yes, teacher, and Carolina.
Yes, teacher.
And Carolina?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Carolina, Ingrid. Ingrid.
Yeah, sorry, Carolina. The thing is, I wrote the names that you sent, but not your name.
Yeah, because I was the one who was writing, but it's okay, teacher, don't worry. Okay. Okay, guys, to summarize, like all that our classmates have like already explained about the theory and all the concepts, we are going to share some activities, some examples that we created like for you to understand better the topic, okay? So we just had some examples. Are you sharing the screen?
May I do so? Here it goes. And
Yes.
here it's like this. 1 second, slideshow. Okay, should be that.
Okay, So in the first slide, we have an activity where you have to provide 3 different words that could be contained in the word proposed. So we have 3 examples. The first one is see, move, and prosecute. So who can help me with the first one, which is see? You have to give me 3 different words that contain this word. Somebody?
Who knows the answer?
Watch.
Watch, okay.
That's one.
Behold.
Behold, okay. And we need another one.
Stare.
Huh?
Stare.
Stare works perfect.
Stare,
Yes.
okay. Okay, so then we have 3. But then we can also look or peep also. Okay, for the second example, it's move. So which one we can use it for this one? It's not just the physical movement that we do. It can be like maybe change or advance. What else? Somebody else?
Go, maybe.
Go, okay, yes. It incurs like movement, okay. Or maybe progress, when we talk about like something or when we are getting better in something, we are moving around that. The third one is prosecute. No? Nobody?
Well, one word could be accuse, for example, to motivate our partners to participate.
Yeah, because we did like a lot of examples, a lot of activities. Okay, the other one, it can be sue or indict. That means like something similar. Okay, go to the next slide, please, Luis. Okay, in this one, we have to find a word that can contain the word listed. So we have an example there. Jeans, shirts, socks are contained in clothes. So we have 3 examples here. We have table, shelf, and nightstand. Which one can be the word which can listed all these?
Furniture.
Furniture, excellent, very good, thank you. Okay, the second example is sole, elastic band, and tire. And tire, I'm sorry. Rubber,
Yeah.
They are made of plastic, excellent. Thank you. And the third one is zipper, fabric, or pocket.
Pants?
Clothes.
Or jacket?
Jacket, yes, it can be. Jacket. Actually, we did it with another with another sense, but it's okay. Somebody else? Something different from jacket?
Backpack.
Backpack, yeah. That was the example that we were thinking about on backpack.
I am not seeing the presentation.
Oh my God. Okay, just give me a minute.
I think that Luis.
Okay, I'm going to share because Luis have a problem with his internet.
Yeah, I can do this. Okay.
Okay, give me a second.
Teacher.
Sorry. Okay, this is a second. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Pau.
Yes.
Okay, just put it on presentation mode.
Okay.
Okay, this one was Luis' slide, but I think he's not here. So can we move to the other one and then we will come back? Pau, can you go to the next one?
Okay. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. On this one, we are going to organize or set these concepts or words from the most general to the most specific one. So can we have somebody help me with the first example?
Sorry, I had a problem with the internet connection.
Repeat, please.
From the data folder file byte. Sorry, no.
I would say the byte is the first byte. The first
general to most specific.
file. Oh, folder and file. Byte, data, folder, file. How about that?
From the most general, you say
General.
byte.
No, the general, the most general.
Folder first or data? Data, folder, file, byte? Or, I don't know.
Okay.
I would do.
By file, folder, data.
Because
Byte,
byte
file,
is
folder,
more
and data.
specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. That's the correct organization. Okay, thank you. And the second one?
It's
Brain, hemisphere, neurons, and synapse.
well,
Yes.
it's,
All of you
okay.
agree?
It's a neuron, synapse, hemisphere, and brain.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, Pau, can you come back to the other one? Luis is here. So
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, is that the one that I was supposed to? Okay. So for each pair, identify the sentence that in which the two words could be used interchangeably without altering the sense of the sentence. Example: hide and conceal. The thief tried to hide the evidence, or the thief tried to conceal the evidence. See, the same. He attempted to conceal or hide himself behind the door. So with make and do, what could we say? What sentence could we give?
Make homework or do homework.
No, not possible. You only do homework. Any other?
What is the exercise? Excuse me.
You have to find a sentence where you can use one or the other without altering the meaning. Any answer? No answers? Okay, let me see. This one I forgot which one was the answer I gave. Would you mind we move on to the other? Okay. So
Not that one. I already did that one.
You have the answer there?
Let me see. Oh, no, I haven't. I'm sorry. I'm kind of lost.
I think it's, well, never mind. So we continue with the next one. See and watch. Where could you use both of them without altering much the meaning?
See TV, watch TV.
Exactly. That's perfect. And the other, work and function.
Like the computer, oh no, my God, functions, works. The computer works and functions. Is that possible?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Functions well, it's working well, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Can you move on to the next one, please?
Yeah.
Okay, that was already done. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, for this exercise about reference, this exercise is very easy. We have some sentence. For example, first one, how are related the word sandwich and huggies? I don't know if I pronounce
Huggy.
well. Huggy. Yeah, a huggy.
Huggy. Okay.
Yeah. Very related words. In this case, I'm going to give you the first one if you want, and the other one you could be answered.
Okay, huggy like
a type of sandwich, for example.
A type of sandwich.
Yeah. For example, the type of sandwich that we eat in Subway.
Yes, it's a type of sandwich.
Yeah. The second one, how are related words sneakers and boots?
Because both are shoes, kind of shoes.
Yeah,
Shoes.
exactly.
Both are shoes.
Yeah, and how are related words chip and microchip?
It is small, little.
Yeah.
Something very little.
Yeah. How are related words jacuzzi and bathtub?
The bathtub is a poor house, and a jacuzzi is for rich people.
Because both are for taking a bath.
Yeah. Yeah. And how are related words cell phone and laptop?
Communication, no? Or technology.
Electronic devices.
Yeah. Okay, for next exercise, it's about stereotypical exercise. Okay, if I told you then an X is made of several sheets of paper, has a story in it, and a hardcover that protects it, what will you think about it? According to the answer of the previous question, what is an example of such item that doesn't fully complete the description?
So let's do the first part. What will you think about if we told you that X is made of several sheets of paper, has a story, and it has a hard cover to protect it? What will you think about?
A book?
A book?
A book, yeah. Maybe it's not necessary. For example, a novel could be a historical novel. For this one. Okay, next one. If I told you then a light protects your hair from the sun, and he's made of intertwined straws.
Intertwine.
Okay, intertwined. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Intertwine.
Intertwined.
Twine.
Straws. What will you think about? According to the answers, the previous question, what is an example of such item that doesn't fully complete the description?
Well, we go
a hat.
A hat.
A hat?
So
Yeah.
now we have the
could be a
intertwined straws. But now, well, that's a great answer. And what is an example of one item that doesn't comply the description?
Because of the intertwined straws.
But one that can protect you from the sun.
Maybe a bag made of a straw. You can put it on your head.
A bag. Maybe, well, the example we talked about was a cap.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily made of straws, but it protects you from the sun.
Okay. And the next one, if I told you that Z is used for sending messages, watching movies, playing video games, what would you think about it? The same exercise.
Cell phone?
Okay, what else?
My smart TV.
Yeah.
A video game console?
Yeah,
Excellent.
perfect.
That was
Yeah.
the one.
And
something have another answer? Someone have another answer? No.
A laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be a laptop.
Or a cell phone.
Okay, the next one is truth.
So we have in here some arguments. In number one, we just want to check if it is valid or not. That's it. So number one, if John bought that house, he must have got a loan from the bank. He did buy the house, so therefore he didn't get a loan from the bank. Is that possible? Is that true or false?
False.
Why?
Because he must have gotten a loan from the bank, but he didn't, so he couldn't have bought the house.
Exactly. Very good. And number 2, no one's answering the phone at Gary's house, so he must be at home. Because whenever Gary's at home, he never answers the phone. True or false?
Yeah, that is true.
So that could be true. Absolutely. Okay. The next one, please. Next one.
Pau.
Sorry.
And in these ones, well, what does the sentence? What does imply the sentence? John swims beautifully. With this question, we want to round up the concept that some friends said a while ago about entailment.
The way that John swims is beautiful.
So what does that imply? What does that mean? Yeah. Excuse me?
People like the way he swims.
People like the way. Okay, that would be possible. The one that we talked about was, well, if John swims beautiful, is because in first place, well, John swims. See? That's another thing. Oh, yeah, so deep, I know. Next one. Do the sentences Jack put off the meeting and Jack postponed the meeting mean the same?
No.
Yeah, yes.
No.
Why yes, why no?
Because put off and postponed are synonyms.
Synonyms.
Very good. Very good. We went on the synonym with the truth. And what does the sentence the TV is on imply?
There is an image coming up from the screen.
Someone is watching TV?
Think about antonyms.
That is not off.
Very
It's
good.
not off.
Good.
Absolutely. And the last one. Someone yelled, the boy was carrying a gun. The boy carrying a gun killed the man with a telescope. Was the telescope the murder weapon?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Because the man who was killed was holding the telescope.
Could be. Everybody agrees?
Yeah, that could be possible.
So with this one, we went on the ambiguity. See, because for us, it was not very clear if the boy was just carrying a gun, but killed the man with a telescope. The boy used a telescope to kill a man. See, or if the boy killed a man that was carrying a telescope.
But for me, it's easier to understand that the boy carrying a gun killed, because with a gun, it's pretty easy to kill people.
It's different context. It's something like pragmatics.
But this one is this was our example for ambiguity in truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all we have.
I liked it. It was very entertaining.
I know.
Okay.
No. So check whether or not the conclusion is valid for each statement. Why is it valid? Why is it not? That's it. We just have. So if there is gas in the car, I will go to the store. If I go to the store, I will get a soda. I do not get a soda. The conclusion is that the car transmission is defective.
Oh, but maybe there is no soda in the supermarket or in the store.
Okay, that could be. But we want to check if that conclusion we have
Is
corresponds
Is
or
valid.
is valid according to the.
Yeah, it's
No.
valid.
It's not valid.
it's valid because it doesn't necessarily imply if there was something at the supermarket or not.
Or,
There is no relationship between all those things. So if I say something, if I say that the car transmission is effective, doesn't imply that that was the reason why I couldn't get the soda. I could have gone walking, for example. And the next one, if Jill can sing or Dweezil can play, I'll buy the CD. Jill can sing. Conclusion, I'll buy the CD.
Yes.
okay.
Valid.
Absolutely, it's valid. Okay, then I think that now that's all we prepare for.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Welcome.
Okay, let's see. I have a group of 3. Lorena, Juan David, and Belisario. Belisario and Juan David did a video. So I would like to listen to Lorena, okay? And I check the video in a moment. Yep.
Yes, teacher. Okay.
Okay, Lorena.
Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I was asking my team.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your team is too quiet.
Yeah, perfect.
See John. Sorry, Juan David. I don't see.
Okay, so can you see the screen, teacher and classmates?
Yeah.
Yes, Lorena.
Okay, so this is the third part of the presentation, which is done. So we didn't do a clever presentation like the other group. It's just the explanation with the example. And okay, yeah. So sense talks about the meaning relations between lexemes. There are different kinds of sense. One of them is homonymy. Homonymy happens when there are 2 different words and they have two different meanings, but they have the same form. For example, the word bank, which means a place where people go and do financial transactions, and the word bank, that means the land alongside a body of water.
Sorry, Lorena, I cannot see your screen.
You don't see my screen, teacher? Okay, hold on. Let me try again. Did you see it now?
Now I can see it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I was talking about the word bank. So you have 2 different dictionary entries, same form, however different meaning. We also have, I cannot see the word.
But you need to start the presentation.
What do you mean?
Habilitar edición, F5.
F5? Like
Yeah,
this?
habilitar first of all, habilitar edición. You have to click there. Yes.
Espérate. Está en pausa. Oh, eso es raro.
Si tú seleccionaste solo la diapositiva para compartir, nosotros
Sí.
no podemos ver cuando tú la expandas. Para poderlo hacer, tienes que seleccionar toda la pantalla, es decir, la primera pantallita que tú ves ahí. No solamente el PowerPoint.
Ok, déjame ver, profe.
Eso, ya. Yeah, we can see now.
Ahora sí? Ay. Okay. The second example of sense is polysemy. Polysemy is when you have the same word with 2 different meanings. For example, milk, it can mean a noun, or milk can mean a verb. In that case, you only have 1 dictionary entry with 2 different meanings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue. Click on polysemy. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, teacher, I am so confused. I didn't know this would happen. So if I click on
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but now how do I go back? Oh, okay.
You can go back with the arrows.
I got it. Thank you. So sorry for my ignorance. Okay, now synonymy. There are different types of synonymy, grades of synonymy. We have absolute synonymy is when a word can be interchangeable in all contexts, like the exercises our partners were doing. The example I have here is the word noun and substantive, so you can use those two words interchangeably without changing the meaning of the sentence. The next one is partial synonymy. Sometimes people use two different words to refer to the same thing, but it doesn't exactly mean the same thing. The example here is chicken and hen. So a hen is an adult female chicken, and chicken is the general term for the bird, and it can be male or female. And then we have near synonymy, is when people also try to use the same two different words for the same thing. However, there is one word that really has the meaning in the context, like really means what the person wants to say. For example, dive and plunge. You can plunge by accident, perhaps, if you fall into the sea or swimming pool, but when you dive, you intentionally do so and you're in control of the situation. Antonymy. There are different types of antonymy. For example, gradable antonymy is when, give me 1 second, is when the opposition is a matter of degree rather than an absolute. And it is usually related or associated to adjectives. For example, here we have the most common, hot and cold. You know that there are different grades between hot and cold. We have warm, we have cool, we have tepid. Okay, non-gradable or binary antonymy is when the opposition is absolute. For example, dead and alive. So you cannot be a little alive or somewhat dead, just dead or alive. The other one is incompatibility is a matter of exclusion. For example, if I say blue, I don't mean red or yellow. If I say Sunday, I do not mean Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Sometimes incompatibility can be an order. So, for example, colors don't have a specific order, or it can be ordered like the days of the week. Relational antonymy, we have two different ways. We have the converse, which depends on the perspective. So, if there, for example, if there is a buyer, there must be a seller. And also reverse relational antonymy. So it depends on the direction. You can push a door if you are in one side of it, or you can pull a door if you are on the other side of it. Hyponymy is a hierarchical sense relationship between lexical terms based on the notion of inclusion, where the less general terms includes the meaning of a more is included in the meaning of a more general term. For example, okay, the more general term is called the hyperonym, and the less general, no, I apologize. Yes, and the less general terms are the hyphonyms. In the case of animal, the hyphonyms could be tiger, sheep, bear, or pig. And also the hyphonyms for bear would be spectacled bear, black bear, grizzly bear, polar bear, and so on. And the types of bears are included in the hyperonym animal as well. And finally, we have meronymy. Meronymy speaks of a term used to describe a part of whole relationship between lexical terms. In the case of functional meronymy, the parts can be detachable from the whole. For example, a holonym is car, and meronyms can be all the parts of the car, wheels, doors, engine, etc. And we have continuous meronymy, where the parts are not detachable. In the case of the human body, the meronyms will be the head, the arms, the legs, and all the other parts that belong to it. And that's my presentation, teacher.
Okay, thank you very much, Lorena, for your presentation. I don't know, I have a question, Belisario. How long is your video?
It's short.
It is short?
It's like about 3 minutes. About.
How long?
5 minutes, I think.
Okay, so Belisario, could you please play it? Or I don't know if Juan David can do that. You have to share. Be sure that if you shared your screen, you click or tick on the part that says compartir audio. Okay?
Juan David, can you do that, please?
Okay, let me see. He has shared that, but I can do it, I think. Wait a moment. I'm going to do it, okay? I can do it.
Okay, thanks, teacher.
Because Juan David has shared the video.
The link.
Ow, ouch. No. I did it wrong. I didn't do what I said. I have to share the computer sound. Okay, so it's more or less like this. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It has sound. Okay, let's see. Can you listen?
Yes.
Examples of reference. Reference is something concrete. Variable reference. What does it mean? It means the same expression can have different reference. And we have the first expression here, the present prime minister.
Sure.
And according to the time, it can be a different reference or a different person. For example, used in Britain in 1944 is Mr. Churchill or was Mr. Churchill. And in 1982 is Mrs. Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher, or was Margaret Thatcher. Another example we have here is another expression, the president of Brazil. So it can vary according to the circumstances, times, place, etc. So more examples here. The present president is the expression. Let's see, 1997 in Portugal, Jorge Sampaio. The same expression in 1997 in the US, Bill Clinton. And even the same expression again, but in this time talking about Seattle Seahawks, that is an American football team, Chuck Arnold. And the same expression of a business company could be anyone, different names. Okay, here we have a very different or interesting example, Peter's house in English language, and the reference, the house that belongs to Peter in the real world. And there are many Peters around the world. Another expression here we have, your right foot, and with different reference. Mom, move your right foot. Carmen, I just touched your right foot. Bob, there's something on your right foot. Okay, let's continue with more examples. In this case, the expression or the word is orange. And the examples, I like oranges. This orange is really big. My favorite color is orange. And in the second place, we have plane. That is the expression or reference. I like to be able to know how to fly a plane. The plane crashed during takeoff. And the third one, we have lion or lions. The lions that I saw in the zoo were sleeping. Lions in zoos look unhappy. And now we have constant reference that, on the other hand, never refers to different themes. For example, the sun is going to be the same all the time. And the expression, look at the sun. When people say this, they're talking about the same thing. We have now the moon. The moon is a natural satellite. So people on Earth talk about the same thing. And finally, the FIFA. FIFA is an association founded in 1904 based in Zurich. So when we talk about the FIFA, we talk about the same thing all the time.
The truth is known through the relationship of the propositions. The propositions are sentences with true, false, or unknown value, so the truth is conditional depending on some parameters as the content or the connectives of the propositions. Logic is an attempt to find valid principles of argument and inference. For example, if humans are mortal and Socrates is human, Socrates is mortal. If the two premises are true, then the conclusion is true. Different if the first proposition is false, then the conclusion is false. Depending on its logical structure, a proposition can be a tautology, where the proposition is always true, as smart people are smart, where the proposition is true but does not propose new information. Contradiction, where the proposition is necessarily false. For example, I am not myself. A preposis, where the second proposition is assumed because the first one, for example, the king of pop is dead, so I assumed that there was a king of pop. An entails depends on the value of truth of the propositions and basically said that if we know the first proposition, then we know the second one. For example, if the man steals money from the old woman, then the old woman does not have money. The value of truth of the relationship between the two propositions depends on the value of falsehood or truth and the order of the propositions. The entailment relations can be paraphrased where P entails Q and Q entails P. For example, Maria hates Jose entails Jose is hated by Maria. A contradiction when P is positive and the second proposition or Q is the first proposition but negative or opposed. For example, Anna is eating and Anna is not eating. There is a contradiction. And finally, an inclusion is when a hyponymy propositional relation, for example, Lulu is a dog, and we know that dogs are animals, so Lulu is an animal. The connectives also influence the truth of value of a proposition. The most common connectives are the conjunction, the disjunction, the implication, the negation, and the equivalence. Let's see some more examples. When we use a conjunction, depending on the truth or falsehood value of the proposition, the conjunction relation and can be true or false. If at least one of the propositions is false, then the relation is also false. In the case of the disjunction, or if at least one of the propositions are true, the disjunction relation is true. The disjunction proposition is true if at least one of the presidents raised the IPA. In the implication relation, only if the first proposition is true and the second one is false, the implication relation is false. In the negation, assuming the proposition is true, then its negation is false, and if the proposition is false, then its negation is true. For example, if Peter is a man, and that is true, then when we say Peter is not a man, that is false. The final relation is the equivalence where only if both propositions are true or false. The equivalence relation is true. When I say Elsa is a woman, if she is a female, if they are both true or false, they are true. And otherwise, the equivalence relation is false.
That is the part that Lorena
Yeah,
explained.
that is the part that Lorena has explained already.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. I really like the part that you explain all the things about the propositions. I think that it is going to be very useful. So you have the link there. Juan David has shared the link just to check if you want to check second time, okay? Okay, guys, so I think that everybody has passed. I don't miss anyone, right? Only Lisette who was in a sick leave, so she has a chance of presenting next time, okay? So very good job. I really like your examples. I could see that you are working very hard on understanding on your own what is this thing about sense, reference, and truth, and it is a very nice job what you have done today, okay? Thank you very much. I'm going to upload the grades today, I think, right now. So see you next class, right?
Thank you so much, teacher.
No, thank
Yes,
you,
teacher.
because you did the class today, so it was great.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Anyway, thanks.
Have a good night.
Anyway, yeah, okay, Belisario, thank you. See you next time, okay?
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks.